In the shadowy corners of America, a sinister presence lurked for decades. He moved from town to town, leaving a trail of mystery and despair. Yet, his name remained unknown to most, until now. Samuel Little, one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history, evaded justice for over 3 decades. How did he remain undetected for so long? What made his crimes so elusive to the authorities? Stay with us as we unravel the dark history of Samuel Little and uncover the chilling secrets of his undetected trail. Born in Georgia in 1940, Samuel Little's early years were marked by instability. A turbulent childhood, marked by neglect and abandonment, set the stage for a life of crime. As a young man, he was in and out of juvenile detention centers, his criminal record growing with each passing year. His criminal activities escalated from theft to assault, but it wasn't until the late 70s that his murderous spree began. Little's transient lifestyle helped him slip through the cracks of law enforcement, moving from state to state with ease. How did a man with such a sinister agenda evade capture? What patterns did he follow? And how did he choose his victims? As we delve deeper, we will reveal the shocking methods Samuel Little used to stay hidden and the tragic stories of those who fell prey to his sinister actions. From California to Florida, Samuel Little's murderous path crisscrossed the nation. Each state, a new hunting ground. Each victim, a new mystery. His meticulous method of strangulation left few traces, confounding investigators. Little's journey began in the late 70s. A transient lifestyle helped him slip through the cracks of law enforcement. He targeted vulnerable women, often marginalized by society, knowing their disappearances would go unnoticed for far too long. We had cases of missing women that never seemed to connect. Little knew how to pick his victims, women on the fringes, whose lives were transient, much like his own. From California to Florida, Samuel Little's murderous path crisscrossed the nation. Each state, a new hunting ground. Each victim, a new mystery. His meticulous method of strangulation left few traces, confounding investigators. Meet Marion Jenkins, a 26-year-old who disappeared from a bar in Miami, Florida, in 1982. She was last seen leaving with a man fitting Little's description. Her body was found weeks later, strangled and abandoned in an alleyway. Then there's Patricia Mount, a 22-year-old hitchhiker found dead in Hialeah, Florida, in 1982. Like many of Little's victims, she was a drifter, making her disappearance less likely to be reported promptly. And Sandra Davies, a 20-year-old woman whose body was discovered in a landfill in Louisiana in 1987. Her family had been searching for her for months, but her transient lifestyle made her difficult to trace. Each of these women had their lives cut short by Little, their stories intertwined by tragedy and the methodical cruelty of their killer. Despite numerous arrests for lesser crimes, Little always managed to evade capture for his murders. He was a master manipulator, changing his appearance, using multiple aliases, and crossing state lines to avoid detection. The transient nature of both Little and his victims made it nearly impossible to connect the dots. Different jurisdictions, lack of communication between police departments, and the limited technology of the time all played a part in delaying justice. Even when bodies were found, the lack of DNA evidence and the prevalence of strangulation, an act that left minimal forensic traces, stymied investigators. For years, families were left without answers. Investigators chased shadows, and cold cases piled up. But how did the pieces finally come together? What breakthrough led to Samuel Little's capture? In 2012, a pivotal arrest on a minor charge became the turning point. DNA technology, combined with persistent detective work, finally caught up with Little. His confessions would unravel a tapestry of horror, spanning decades and dozens of lives. Little was arrested in a Kentucky homeless shelter on a narcotics charge in 2012. He was extradited to California on an outstanding drug warrant, where authorities decided to test his DNA against cold cases. The results were groundbreaking. His DNA matched evidence from 3 unsolved homicides in Los Angeles, all dating back to the late 80s. This was the break detectives had been waiting for. The DNA match was the key to unlocking a series of brutal crimes. It provided the irrefutable evidence needed to link Little to the murders and reopen the investigations. Little was charged with the murders of Carol Alford, Audrey Nelson, and Guadalupe Apodaca. But this was just the beginning. As investigators dug deeper, Little began to talk. In 2018, Little began to confess to a staggering number of murders, 93 in total. His detailed recollections and sketches of his victims were both chilling and crucial in corroborating his claims. He had an almost photographic memory of his crimes. He could recall the smallest details about his victims, their appearances, the clothes they wore, even the last moments of their lives. These sketches, along with Little's confessions, helped law enforcement officials across the country solve numerous cold cases. The FBI verified 60 of these confessions, making Little one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. Samuel Little's trial brought a semblance of closure to the families of his victims. In 2014, he was convicted of 3 counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Over the next few years, additional convictions were added as more cases were confirmed. Today, Samuel Little sits in prison, where he will spend the remainder of his life. His confessions have given closure to many families, but the pain and loss remain. It's been a long journey. We finally have some answers, but nothing can bring back our loved ones. Knowing that he can't hurt anyone else is a relief, but the scars will never heal. The story of Samuel Little is a sobering reminder of the darkness that can hide in plain sight. As we remember the victims, let their stories drive us to be vigilant and supportive of those on the fringes of society. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark history of Samuel Little. If you found this story compelling, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest deep dives into true crime mysteries. By subscribing, you'll ensure you never miss out on uncovering the hidden truths that shape our world. Together, let's seek justice and remember those whose voices were silenced. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep seeking the truth.